Hi there, John Hampshire here from JH Coaching, and today I want to talk about Strava and how it can help you measure your progress in your training, and it's a really useful tool. I think Strava is sort of often seen as a tool where people, try and get kudos or beat each other, win King of the Mountains and all that sort of stuff. A tool to boost your ego, whereas there's a lot more to it, and there's, apart from a lot of analytical tools that you can look at your power data, your heart rate data and things like that, you can use the segments to measure the progress of your training. I find that although I like to compare myself against how others are doing, what I find the most useful thing is using the segments and also comparing how fast I've been over a similar course over time, because it keeps a history of your performances over time on the same sort of course or on the segments. So what you can do is, if you're training for a certain event, for example, if you're training for a 5 kilometer running event, a running race, then you could set up a Strava segment or find a Strava segment that's similar. If your race is flat, then find a flat segment. If it's hilly, then find a hilly segment of maybe 2 kilometers, and do that as hard as you can, and see how fast you are, and then do it in a couple of weeks or 3 or 4 weeks, and see if you've got any faster. And in that way, you've got a representative measure of how well your training's working for you. Say you're a hill runner, a mountain runner, or a trail runner, and you want to see how well you're getting on at climbs. Then if you can find a long climb that's representative of what you want to do, then you can set up a Strava segment and run up that as fast as you can and see how you get on, or similarly cycle up it as fast as you can and see how fast you are. If you want to improve your hill climbing ability, if you want to include your ability to climb short hills, find a short hill. If you want to improve your climbing on longer hills, sustained efforts, then find a long hill. For longer events, I mean, it can still work for longer events. For medium to long endurance type events, say 5 kilometers up to, say, let's do it in time. So take any event from 30 minutes up to 3 hours. A 20-minute test is fairly representative, is going to give you a reasonably good idea of how well your training's going. So what you could do is find a circuit that takes you about 20 minutes to do it as fast as you can, and then do it again in a few weeks' time and see whether you're improving. And that's giving you a good measure of how well your training's working. If it's not working, if you're getting slower, then are you getting more tired? Or should you be doing some different type of training to get yourself better prepared for your goal event? If you're doing longer events, then it's also quite relevant. If you were doing a cycling event and you knew that the hilly section came after 100 miles, for instance, or even if it's all hilly, and you've got to climb hills at the end, then what you can do is actually go out and make yourself tired, so that you can do a representative test. If you've got a fairly long hill, set your Strava segment up for a fairly long hill. You don't need to have a sort of 3 or 4 hour or 100-mile Strava segment. You just need the test at the end. So you get out there, ride say 50 miles, something representative, and 100 kilometers, and then do a 10-minute hill, or if you can find a longer hill, do a 20-minute hill. Anything from 10 to 20 minutes is perfect, and ride up that quite hard, and see how it feels. Have a look at your heart rate, if you're using a heart rate monitor, but look at the time. I mean, the time is as good as anything. And what also Strava does is it gives you an estimate of the power that you've put out in that particular effort. So, and it's actually surprisingly accurate. So, assuming you keep your weight up to date in Strava. So by doing that, you can see whether whether you're improving your endurance and your ability to ride hard at the end of your ride, or at the end of your race. So you can test the short-term stuff and the long-term stuff. Similarly, if you're running a marathon or a mountain race and there was a climb at the end, you could get out, do the sort of requisite amount of effort, and then do a representative test on that climb. That's a great tool. So there you go, Strava.